Happy Sunday. This is Age on America on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm your host, Asia Shakur. Before we get into anything, I want to go ahead and first give up some light and love to Wanda B. She's feeling down a little bit. Just want to give some, prayers and, give her some well wishes. Wanda, hurry back. We love you. Before we get off into anything, I've been off the air since March, and I know a lot of people have been out in the street asking what's going on with me. And I wanted to be transparent because, of course, that is what I pride myself on, being very transparent with my viewers. And I've been going to therapy. And, a lot of people always talk about therapy on the offset of things. And I'm doing it as preventative care, like getting your car winterized in the fall. So by the time the weather comes, you'll have your tires and everything flushed out. So life been lifing, y'all. I got my son going to college in the fall. Of course, people who know me know that I have my youngest son is autistic and nonverbal. That takes a lot of patience. Takes a lot of time. I work. And things were just becoming a little daunting on me. And and don't get me wrong, I appreciate and love all my friends who are always there to listen. But sometimes you need an unbiased opinion from someone who's going to give you constructive, positive criticism. And I just said to myself, self, go ahead and get your car winterized and see what's going on. I've been kind of unsure of the nows in my life, the people, places, and things, and how to get those things put together like a perfect puzzle, about my career, about my love life, about my show. Podcasts are not the new thing. Everybody's popping up with podcasts. And don't get me wrong, we heard that old adage of there's enough bakery bread and all of that, et cetera, et cetera. However, too much bread will get moldy. And sometimes I feel like because the content of my show is not as salacious and not gossipy enough that it gets lost in the shuffle. And I kind of, was down about it. But people always stop me in the street and be like, Hood Oprah, when you getting back on the air? I want to talk. I got something to say. They in my inbox. So I really appreciate everybody. I appreciate this guy over here who always gives me silent pushes, big ups to Low Key Production, who is sponsoring today's show.
All right.
He always is there to give me kind words of encouragement, him as well as Keith, who's another friend of the show, to keep me motivated and keep me going. And I appreciate that. Don't you start.
Here we go.
Don't you.
No disrespect, Keith. Just saying.
Whatever. So you are here, like I said, sponsoring today's show because you got a great project coming out, a Tubi movie. You are a friend of the show. You've been here like 4 times. It's your 4th time?
This is my first time here.
What?
Don't confuse the people. You're a great friend of the show. This is like your 4th time coming here, right?
I think so. I helped you host one episode.
You did, and you came with Lawrence one time.
Yep.
And you came alone. So yes, this is the 4th time you've been here. You are like a veteran here at Age on America. So for the people who don't know you, give them a little bit background of who Will Adams is, if you and the surprise guest that you brought here.
The surprise guest I brought here was Random Michael, and I'm Will Adams.
Will Adams, tell us about who you are. You're a filmmaker that I alluded to previously in the introduction.
You told people I'm a filmmaker. Yeah,
I did. Go ahead, tell the people who are listening a little bit about the films that you've made and like everything about Will Adams in like 10 minutes or less because we know you can go on and on.
I'm not going to minutes, but
give me the short synopsis version of who you are and what you embody as a filmmaker in Chicago.
Well, I'm gonna just tell you, I am a filmmaker. The reason why I say I am a filmmaker, I'm an indie filmmaker, and I carry the word indie heavy because a lot of people say they're an indie filmmaker and they write. Now I'm an independent filmmaker. Or they shoot, I'm an independent filmmaker. Or they direct, I'm an independent filmmaker. I do everything. So even if I have to get in front of the camera, there I am. As an independent plight of the independent filmmaker. Got it? Yeah. Right. So, but I am the person that's behind and the driving force behind Low Key Productions.
And this guy to your right, and I don't mean to, I'm bad with directions.
Right.
We've already discussed this previously outside of the air. So the gentleman to your left, because I don't want to keep calling you guys surprise guests. What's your name again?
My name is Randall Michael.
Randall Michael. And previously, when we were off the air, you were telling me that you're originally from Dallas
I am.
and you migrated here to the great city of Chicago.
Yes, ma'am.
What made you come here?
My mother made me.
Really?
Yeah, she went home. I got kicked out of California in about 1999, and she came home from a Mary Kay meeting, and she said, "You're not gonna stay here." I think I hung out one night way too late, and she was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna stay here. You're not gonna spend the summer and the fall here." So she went to a Mary Kay meeting, and she said, "I heard about this school in Chicago called Columbia. You're gonna go there." We got on the plane with 3 bags of clothes and stayed in the hotel and went on the tour for Columbia. We stopped at the dorms, and the lady said, "Let's just check it in." The lady was like, "You realize that people have had, people have had their rooms reserved for months in advance." She says, "I know." And all of a sudden, the phone rang, and she picked up the phone. She looked at my mother like she was crazy. My mother didn't say anything. She kind of just crossed her arms, and she said, "Does he smoke?" My mother said, "I'll smoke if it'll get him a room." She said, "We just had somebody cancel," and the rest was kind of history like that. And I had a room.
That's interesting because a lot of people, one of the things that I really strongly promote here on Intellectual Radio is the best of Chicago. Of course, we got a bad rep in the news, and justifiably so. However, it's kind of, I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, I just decided to come to Chicago," even though it is a premier city.
Yeah.
How do you feel about being here? How long have you been here?
I've been here 24 years.
24?
Yeah, I came here in 1999 or 2000.
How old are you?
I'm 44.
I thought you were 16.
That's funny. No, ma'am. No,
This
ma'am.
is not a dating show.
No, yeah, I'm 44 years old. Been here since, like I said, 2000. The fall of 2000 when we came. And I one thing I always felt about Chicago is that I respect you guys' city so much. Like, the hustle is unmatched. The grind is unmatched. I mean, I love the people. At the same time, the reason why I don't like it is because of the people. So it's really weird. It's really, really weird. But like I said, it's something about the Midwest. Like, you guys have that hustle of New York, that fast pace of New York, but also you kind of have a very laid back style about yourselves as well, like you would get on the West Coast. So it's real interesting. And then you find the people that have that Southern hospitality, like myself, that are here. So it's a good mesh of everything.
But you couldn't even tell me from the South, because listen to his diction. It's like
I knew
Harvard.
I knew he yeah. I knew that he
from
was
Harvard.
not
Did you say
Harvard?
Oh, okay. Be clear.
Okay,
Not Harvey. Even though I love Harvey, y'all are wonderful people.
Well, 24 years is a long time.
Oh yeah,
but you haven't been here long enough to like make decisions about what side is bad.
Oh no, yes I have. Yes, I clearly have. And
so what's this is totally off cuff.
Sure.
But what side do you prefer the most?
I'm a Southern, so I'm always gonna most likely prefer the South side.
Yeah, because we don't promote the West side here.
Well, no, I mean,
no.
The West side is cool. The West side has some spaces and some side. There's nooks and crannies. One thing I'll tell you this, and I'll leave it at this.
She's the nook.
The microcosm of Chicago is you can make one left turn and be in Mayberry, and you make another left turn and you be in hell. So it's like, you
Chicago has a lot of enclaves. Yes. We have a lot of different distinct.
I was wondering what she meant too, but I was like, that's a car. It's a Buick, right?
We have a lot of distinct, unique neighborhoods, which is, one of the greater things that I love about being in Chicago, because like you said, one corner you could be in Mayberry, the next one corner you could be in Hill, the next corner you can be uptown and you meet somebody famous. So it does run the gamut of being a great city. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you like it.
Glad to be here.
I'm glad he was on the show.
But we don't like surprises.
You didn't tell her I was coming.
Do you like the surprise?
No, I'm just
joking. Funny. No, I understand.
I got a little chops too. I got a few of them.
All right.
So Will, he came, he gave me a press kit. I'm like, I'm a real radio show. Yeah, Glow. He gave me. We're getting there.
Tell me about the press kit.
We're getting there. I saw this in my messages, like a press kit. Okay, Aisha, you getting it, big time. So, how long have you been a filmmaker? Segue into the questions.
About 22 years.
What initially made you get into filmmaking? I know I've asked this on previous shows, but just to refresh the guests who may not remember.
Well, my first thing that I used to do, because I went to Columbia too, I was a cameraman. I was like, I learned everything about production. So when I was shooting, I'll shoot, and I'm like, I don't have to edit. I just give you your footage and be done. That was cool for me. And then I started working on other people's stuff, and I'm like, they shouldn't have done that. And I just make some suggestions, and they was like, "Oh no, we could still gonna do it this way, and it still would be bad." And I was like, "I can actually do something better than this. I can actually probably do this myself." So then I just decided to do it myself. My first film was horrible, and the reason why it was horrible is because I let the actors direct themselves. And when that's the one thing I learned, that you have to direct the actors. Because Randall is just
here we go.
He's improv.
No, I stick to the script
now. Now he does. But you just, I mean, but sometimes not even just them improvising, but them just not. I mean, they stick to the script, but they don't have the same cadence that you want them to have. They don't move the way you want them to have.
The vision.
One actor, he would say a line like, "We think, hey, you gonna give me my money?" And I was like, "No, that's you." And but he was a theater actor, so I also had to make the adjustment, because I'm like, "Okay, you in theater? Look, that's a microphone. It can hear you whisper. So this is a time where you got to be quiet and menacing." So I was able to, get that to happen. And I forgot the question.
I'm sure you did. How did you get into acting? What prompted you to be an actor?
Well, the short answer is I think I was about 6 years old, about 5 or 6 years old. And my dad, who worked in all gambits of the theater at the South Dallas Cultural Center in Dallas, Texas. Shout out. I used to pass by there. He was there so much we passed by there and be like, that's where my daddy lived. But he was rehearsing a one-man play called Seswi Bonzi is Dead. It was 1 or 2 man show. And long story short, he was rehearsing Time is Time, and I remember him going over his lines over and over again. I was like, that's not right. He's like already frustrated, probably late for, dress rehearsal or whatever. And he's like about to snap. And he's like, I'm like, it's okay, Dad, but that's not right. And sure enough, he went back and told me sometime later, he was like, yeah, that. And after that, he put me in, saw I had a knack for memorization and could read okay. So punctuate, people don't understand how important punctuation is when it comes to acting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, you remember the question?
No.
That's funny.
I remember the question, but he had a great act of memorization because, he's doing a master class.
Yeah. Let's not. We'll get to that later. He makes fun of me because there were times in the past where we would do shoots, and I wouldn't learn my lines until I got to the set. I wouldn't learn my lines until I got to the set. But a lot of it early on helped me with some improv things. It helped me with being fresh in it, but at the same time, it put a stress on my scene partners and players and directors, right? And so I kind of tried to work against that to stop that from happening. But that's how I got into acting.
This is not your movie. This is my show. So we're gonna let me do the ad libs.
No, I had to make sure
Mr. DeVille.
Yeah, you got to watch him.
Do you find that memorization helped you become a better method actor as opposed to reading your scripts? And, because sometimes, even though I'm not acting, I find that coming into the studio without my notes, I'm fresher. I'm more off beat. I'm more on beat. I'm a lot more fluid as opposed to writing my notes down and memorizing them. I'm not as, fluid with it.
I understand that. Me personally, that is actually the way. I wouldn't say that I'm a method actor per se, as I don't take it home with me as much. Now I will do my research. I will, empathize as much as possible, try to get into the character's skin, flesh the character out as much as possible. But I try not to take it home with me, because some roles, if you take them home with you, you end up with the Heath Ledgers of the world, or things like that. And it's not exactly the best thing for you to do. But I definitely always take the time to flesh out my characters and make sure that I'm giving the best performance that I can give. And I write my stuff down. That's how I memorize it. I write it down. As I've gotten older, it's helped me because there's always things you can revert back to. And I always use pencil. You can revert back to and say, well, this is how I would like to say this. This is an idea, but you never know what your scene partner is going to give you. So you don't want to come in with something that's so concrete that you can't live in that moment. You know what I mean? It has to be a living, breathing thing every single night. That's why I love theater. So
are you more of a theater actor?
There's nothing like that living, breathing moment on the stage. There's nothing like it. I've become. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There you have moments in film that you can say, stop, cut, let's do it again. But you can't do that in a live theater. You can't do that.
But when you do it on screen, if you let me know what's going to happen before it happens.
But that's the thing.
You can't let them know.
How do you know what's going to come out? Your scene partner will give you something and say it a different way, and it won't it won't be, it may not be like you said what you envisioned, but at the same time it'll be a whole living, breathing thing.
But the whole time you have to let the script do its job.
This is very true.
You have to let the script do its job, because when you read the script, it's like, oh, okay, that's funny. But you have to see how you can make that particular thing in that script pop the way you made that thing in your head pop before you say it.
100%. I agree with that. And my thing is, when it comes to inner monologue, I always say the words on the page are there as a strong guide, but that space between those words, that allows you to have your inner monologue, your intentions, what you're trying to convey, the reason why you were there. You know, the guy with the script, he does his part, and then that's our part to make it live off the page.
Sometimes you have to stay on the script. So
you have to. Yeah, no, I agree. You know, I'm not saying ad-libbing. I'm not talking about the ad-libbing part of it.
Right.
I'm saying use with those parameters.
Cut. No. we get too deep into this.
It was